Guys, breaking news. We have really tragic breaking news. Charlie Kirk from TPUSA, radio host, founder of TPUSA, close advisor to the president, has been shot in Utah. And this happened, I guess, moments ago. It just broke right after the show. So we came back on. Charlie Kirk was at an event. Thousands and thousands of students at the University of Utah. It looks like UVU campus on lockdown now after Charlie Kirk has been shot. I don't know what part of the body he was shot in, but it doesn't. It looks like his head gets thrown back. There is video of it making the rounds. Charlie Kirk does these tours all the time. I imagine there's pretty strong security. He is, like we said, a well-known public figure. He is very conservative. He does run TPUSA. I've been to TPUSA events, and there are, I mean, the security at the TPUSA events, you're talking about presidential level security at these things. There are Secret Service at all of these events. There are, incredible masses of police officers outside of all of these events. But if you're just joining us, Charlie Kirk apparently has been shot in Utah. The suspect is in custody. I am tracking on Newsmax, but I do want to go, it looks like there is video. We're going to share it. Just, they do say it is a little bit on the graphic side, but this is what happened at the event. You can see, you can see he kind of, it looks like it's near his head or neck.
Oh my God.
And then everyone starts screaming and freaking out because they realize there's a shooter in the area. There's another angle of it. We don't want to get too, that's pretty graphic. But it's really, here's the guy apparently who did shoot him. This is the man detained in Utah Valley University. Utah Valley University is. The man who shot Charlie Kirk said an event attendee, continue to pray for Charlie. So if this is the guy, and we don't know if this is the guy yet, it's like some older dude. It's really, I'm gonna look at this video here real quick before I air it. I don't want to get too graphic, but let me just see, because again, if you've ever been to a Charlie Kirk event, there are tons of angles. There's tons of video footage. There's lots of people who are there taping. They love to post clips of Charlie Kirk. They love to, share what they know about him. He is a father. He is a husband. He is, like I said, a close friend to President Donald Trump. And this looks like, again, another attack on a MAGA celebrity, on a conservative celebrity. First, we saw Donald Trump, of course, get shot in the side of the head during his campaign. And now it looks like another hero of the Republican Party also shot. I don't know where that video is that I just saw. Maybe they've taken it down because of the graphic nature. We're not really sure. Like I said, I don't want to give out too much stuff that's going to be. Donald Trump has just posted, "We all must pray for Charlie Kirk, who has been shot. A great guy from top to bottom. God bless him." So I don't know if Donald Trump has more information. I assume Donald Trump has more information than the rest of us. And again, he was surrounded by people. There were probably emergency services there as well. I imagine that when you have that kind of event, like I said, there's a ton of security there. I have to imagine there's also going to be ambulances and that sort of thing. Let's go back. We should probably actually real quick retweet this, repost. Oops. Quote. Pray for Charlie Kirk and that this. Okay, post. Again, it was an outdoor event too, which when you're Charlie Kirk, you do a lot of these outdoor events because you have such a large following, such a large number of people. It's such a group of people that want to come. Pardon me, what did I do? That want to come and see you. So inside is not always the best place for you, and that's why he's famous for doing these tent events where he comes in and he debates people one-on-one. Everybody, it's just all of X right now, all of social media is pray for Charlie Kirk, reposting the president, pray for Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk shot at Utah Valley University again, over and over again. Here it is. Here's a picture Trad Prather posted with Charlie Kirk and his wife and their kids. She's probably frantic at the moment. I don't know if she was there. I don't know I don't know the situation about whether or not she was there. It looks like here's CNN.
At times, he goes into these various college campuses, pushes conservative issues, gets into heated back and forth often with these students on these college campuses. But of course, none of that is violent.
So there's CNN trying to, I don't know, it seems like they're pushing some kind of narrative about him being exacerbating or baiting the left. These two videos are being posted over and over again. The one of him actually getting shot from a distance, and then there's another one. There's another one of this guy. This is the one we see everywhere also, which is supposedly, and I don't know if it was close proximity. I can't imagine. I can't imagine that he would have been able to get too close. I want to see again.
Go, run.
Maybe we can see the proximity. I'm trying to see if I see him in the crowd anywhere. Bald guy, old with glasses. I don't know. I have to imagine if he had some kind of rifle or something from a distance, it's weird to think he'd be able to get that close. But these are the reports that we're getting over and over again. Let's go back to Newsmax real quick and listen in as they're reporting live.
There's a potential threat for this, and law enforcement is not there. It's not like you would see at presidential rally, for instance, where there's metal detectors and heavy security screening the area. I just hope that Charlie was wearing a vest. I don't know, a bulletproof vest. I don't know if he was. But the video that I've seen is not good. I believe he may have taken a direct hit from that round.
Yeah, Jonathan, talk to us a little bit about this suspect that's now in custody. Tell us what that investigation is going to look like. Clearly, he was taken into custody quite quickly after this happened. What can you tell us on that front?
So right now, immediately, as soon as this occurs, there's going to be, of course, they're going to bring the individual in, see if he wants to talk. And it appears, I didn't hear everything that the guy had said, but they're going to try to see if he will divulge any information. But immediately upon identifying, they're going to start looking at everything in this guy's background, his social media. They're going to look at his home. They'll do warrants very quickly to go in, look at his home, and see if there's any other connections to any other groups, any other people, or if this was just some crazy leftist lunatic that decided to carry this out. He could also be known to the university. I'm not sure where this is at. And you're looking at this video. I keep looking over the video. There's basically it looks like an outdoor area up top that was looking down. That's where some of these videos are coming from. I cannot believe that somebody was able to get up there with a rifle. I don't believe this was a pistol, unless he was up closer. But if somebody took a shot from up there, it is shocking to me that they would not have better security than to keep that from occurring.
Yeah, Jonathan, also we're just learning Orem, where this university is in Utah. It's about 41 miles southeast of Salt Lake City. Also, we know from Pam Bondi that the FBI is on their way. Want to get your thoughts there when the FBI comes in. How do they go about getting involved in the situation? What will they be doing? And again, I also do want to remind everybody that the reports are that the suspect is an older white male. Reports at this time say when he was down on the ground being arrested following shooting, the shots being fired, he reportedly said, "I have the right to remain silent." So again, not much to be known there yet, except he is in custody. Jonathan.
So as the FBI
it appears,
comes there,
by the way, it appears, I'm going to pull up Fox News here in a minute. It appears that he was shot in the neck. I did take a look at the closer video, and it's graphic. I'm not going to lie, but it looks like you can't really see the end, but you can see an exit wound right around, if he's sitting this way, right around the left side of his neck, there's an exit wound with some blood, and he falls over. That's what I was able to see. That's the account that I was able to get from the internet. So we'll see what happens. I mean, there's no word yet on his condition. That's the other thing. We have no word on what his current condition is.
Being taken down.
Let's take a look
at
Fox News here.
Anything of that?
Jason Chavez is there, and he was apparently on the scene.
As soon as I saw Charlie go back, you realized that it was a shot. I've been shooting. I've been around guns enough to know that it was an actual shot. And immediately, I started thinking of our daughter and our son-in-law and my wife, who wasn't quite in the venue yet. So my attention, focused there and making sure they were okay and getting people out. It wasn't as if there was a whole bunch of gunfire. It was one shot.
Which makes it,
and then it stopped.
Yeah, obviously sound.
Yes.
I'm sorry, you go ahead, but I mean that's an assassination attempt, and it sounds from what you're saying that it was clearly aimed at Charlie Kirk and not, sort of a spraying in the crowd. Thank God of gunfire. It appears that this was a very targeted attempt on his life, and they did take someone into custody, though, so we're waiting for more information on that. Sometimes it can appear that sometimes it's the right person, sometimes it isn't the right person, and we don't know the answer to that yet, right, Jason?
No, we don't, but I can tell you, being there, seeing it within proximity, it seemed like it was a close shot. Mm-hmm. The venue is such that there's a 4-story building, which is the administrative building to the south. The other buildings around the side are not quite so high, but you could be on the second level and watch Charlie. The police had moved the people. There were some people that were above Charlie, so that awning that you're seeing there, there's a place to be there, but the police moved people out to the sides. And so you couldn't be right above where you were at. But if I had to guess, and again, it's still raw, but if I had to guess and give a police statement right here, right now, today, see where that water is? It looked to me like it was in close proximity, straight ahead, right in that area.
Yeah, we're looking
if I had to guess, again.
Of course,
yeah.
No, we are have a huge caveat on everything at this point, but we're just putting together what we can. And there's a group of people right in front of the stage. Then there's a bit of a gap. I think people can see this on this aerial shot here. I don't know if that was, equipment, or for some reason that area is cleared. But there's how many people would you say were in that crowd today, Jason?
So that kind of greenish spot you're looking at is water. There's just a water feature on what we call the quad, and it kind of graduates up so students can sit. And it's a great little sort of an amphitheater type thing where you can sit on the grass and look at whatever's going on down there. So again, I'm guessing 2,000 plus people. Charlie came out kind of right at noon local time, mountain time, throwing the hats, gearing up the crowd. They're having a little bit of a microphone problem. But everybody, they were chanting either USA or Charlie Kirk. And when they saw him backstage, they started chanting Charlie Kirk. They were really genuinely excited to see him. There were a few people. There was one gay pride flag there, but they were not disruptive. They were very respectful in every sense of the way. He came out and acknowledged them, said, hey, come down, be part of the discussion, which the crowd took really well. And that's the idea of Charlie Kirk, is that he'd answer things from anybody, and you can come stand. So there's that little grassy area, and there's security there, but you can come walk up there. They hand you a microphone, and you can ask and interact with Charlie. But the person that was asking the question, I don't think, again, if I had to guess, I don't think was the shooter. I think it happened behind that person. But I just,
Can I ask you, Jason?
I'm still in shock that it happened.
Of course. We're all just processing this, and you were there with your family. Obviously, you're shaken up, but you're doing a great job of, keeping us informed on the lay of the land here and what happened. He was tossing hats that said 47 on them, obviously in support of President Trump. What hospital would be the hospital that he would be taken to, or anyone who's injured in that area would be taken to, Jason?
Well, fortunately, we have a really good hospital, Utah Valley University, Utah Valley Hospital. all the level 1 trauma situations, if I get the numbers right, the highest degree of trauma. We're not used to dealing with a lot of shootings here in Utah, quite frankly. But if you had to extract somebody and get them there, it's a matter of minutes away. I don't know how quickly they were able to do that, but there is a very, very good medical situation right there. And then, of course, there are other options, but the closest one is right there in Provo. This happened in Utah, in Orem, right at off of I-15. And like I said, it's a commuter campus. There's no on-campus living. There's very little of that. Most of these students commute, and between BYU, which is a few miles away, and UVU, there's about 100,000 students. So we got a big student population. And this was a great afternoon.
And very much a community, as you say. Everybody lives close by. The Utah Valley Hospital, and I cannot confirm that this is where he was taken. We're just trying to figure out what would be logical. Has a level 2 trauma center. It is in Provo, Utah, as you said, Jason. So we're going to continue to get this information as it comes in, and we're trying to be obviously as accurate as we possibly can as we wait for an update on his condition. I know Jason's going to stay with us, and we thank you for that. I want to just bring in, we're going to go to the White House now for a moment. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt posting on X, please pray. Everyone's prayers going up right now for Charlie Kirk. I'm joined by senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich, reporting live from the North.
By the way, there were 2 to 3 people at the event. 2 to 3,000 people at the event around Charlie Kirk. He was seated, of course, on stage.
And the National Security Advisor, Marco Rubio, who's also serving as the Secretary of State, are both actively engaged. They're monitoring this situation, and they are in contact with state officials. So you've got the Situation Room here, and Rubio looking actively into what is going on, receiving updates, and I've also inquired anything they know about the suspect or his condition. I haven't heard anything on that yet, but I did go up to Upper Press immediately when this news broke to see if anything was coming out on this, and I was told that it had just happened, and everyone was in the Oval Office. I was told we'd have an update soon from the president, and he did put that out. He posted on Truth Social, "We must all pray for Charlie Kirk, who has been shot. A great guy from top to bottom. God bless him." Now, remember, Charlie Kirk, who leads Turning Point USA, did a lot of work in support of the president's reelection campaign. Turning Point USA obviously engages young voters, conservative voters, and President Trump in this election really turned the tide among that demographic, which is historically an unreliable voting bloc, and turned out young voters. Charlie Kirk played a huge role in that. He was active in support of the president on the campaign trail and is obviously beloved by a lot of people here. We've seen well wishes coming out from everybody from the president to the vice president, the Secretary of War, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, everyone here just awaiting updates on.
There's I want to go back to Twitter here for just a second. Governor Cox from Utah, who's the governor of Utah, posted something. I'm trying to find it here. Bear with me as we're getting all this information live. This is, and again, pray for Charlie Kirk. Pray that he survives this, because this is a guy who is much beloved by so many people because of what he's done, not just politically, but for the Christian for Christians around the country, for the youth. And what he's been able to do with TPUSA it's truly incredible. Governor Cox posted on his X, he posted, "I'm being briefed by law enforcement following the violence directed at Charlie Kirk during his visit to Utah Valley University today. We will continue to share updates. Those responsible will be held fully accountable. Violence has no place in our public life. Americans of every political persuasion must unite in condemning this act. Our prayers are with Charlie, his family, and those affected." And it's very similar to what they were saying. I think it was on Newsmax, where they suggested that Charlie Kirk was not the kind of guy who was closed-minded to other opinions. He would debate you, he would question you, he would talk to you, but he was always open to discussions with any kind of group. And they mentioned on, I don't know if it was Fox News, I don't know if it was, I think it was Jason Chaffetz, who just said there were trans activists there, or there were gay and lesbian activists there, and Charlie Kirk invited him up, said, grab the microphone, let's have a conversation. He was never afraid to debate anybody, still isn't to this day. And so that is something that was unique to him. He wasn't just a firebrand. He wasn't just somebody screaming and yelling at the opposition. He was engaged in conversation, and he was engaged in Q&A. And that is something, that's why he was so popular. That's why he was, I think, deemed by so many people as such a threat, but that's why TPUSA and his movement grew so rapidly. Let's listen into Newsmax here one more time.
Tends to show the velocity of that round. Also, unfortunately, given the immediate blood loss that is apparent, this seems to be someone at a rooftop or perched higher than the crowd elevation.
Yeah, Stuart Kaplan, appreciate your insight here on this tragic day here with Charlie Kirk being shot at this event in Utah. Thank you so much. We appreciate all of your expertise and insight here. So here's what we know so far. This happened roughly about a half an hour ago. We got word that Charlie Kirk, 31-year-old father of two, was at an event at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. He was giving his speech there to the students. He takes a lot of questions. It's usually a Q&A with Charlie Kirk where the students ask him a question. And one shot went off, according to witnesses there. The university did, in fact, say that there is a suspect in custody. And he is now, the FBI agents are on their way, according to the FBI director, Kash Patel. We've also heard from a number of other prominent politicians on both sides of the aisle. We've heard from President Trump praying for Charlie Kirk. Even California Governor Gavin Newsom also putting out that. So we're all thinking of Charlie Kirk right at this moment.
All right. We are joined back here on set by TJ McCormack, talk radio host, and also Republican strategist Nicole Kipraloff, who actually were sitting with us here at.
Okay, let's go back to Fox News for just a second and see what their update is. They were at the White House.
Good friend.
All right, this is Charlie Hurt.
Shocked, and obviously, as you and all of your coverage so far have pointed out, this is just absolutely heartbreaking, and our prayers go out to Charlie and his beautiful family. It was just about an hour ago, actually, I was on the phone with Jason talking about other things. Jason Chaffetz talking about other things, and he told me that he was there waiting for Charlie Kirk and said there like 2,000 people have gathered on this beautiful day just to hear Charlie Kirk speak. And the description he gave was so beautiful. I asked him to send a picture of it to me, and he took a picture and sent it to me, and I showed it to my wife. We were driving somewhere, and I said, this is the kind of crowd that Charlie Kirk brings on a college campus. And as Jackie was just pointing out, Charlie is the best of America. Charlie is the kind of guy that likes to talk, likes to engage with people, and engage with people who aren't normally as active in politics as they should be or might be. And he's done it so brilliantly. And he is the best of what we have to offer. And the idea that something like this would happen to him, the reason our country works is because of people like Charlie Kirk. And the only way our country doesn't work is when people resort to violence in order to silence people like Charlie Kirk. And so right now I am praying for Charlie and his beautiful family, and I'm praying for our country too.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about the impact of
All right,
Turning Point on the.
I want to go back here to the X because I'm not sure I believe what I'm hearing, what I'm reading here. This is MSNBC, who is saying that, is this true that they said that it might have been a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration? Did they really
in which a shooting like this happens?
Yeah, and again, emphasize what you just emphasized. We don't know any of the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about.
In which
I'm sorry. What is it? What are they even talking? This is just. They need more than a name change. That's just reprehensible by whoever. I don't even know who that is that they're talking to, but the MSNBC just suggested it was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, like it's the Wild West, and that's what Republicans do. They just shoot their guns into the air at any and all times. There's some of the, again, there's a close-up video that I'm not going to show, but this is Eric Daughtry here, the man who supposedly. Let's hear again. He's saying again, I have the right to remain silent. So he knows what's up. And he said nothing else. All he said was, I have the right to remain silent. So I don't know if they Mirandized him. Hopefully they did. But he knew that already. No motive. We don't know the guy's name yet. We don't know anything that's going on. All we know is that Charlie Kirk was shot at an event at Utah Valley University, and that he was taken to the hospital. We don't know what the actual outcome is. We don't know if he's okay. We hope he will be. We know that everybody literally is praying, from the president and the vice president and the secretary of war and the secretary of state, everybody all around. If you go on Kash Patel, we are closely monitoring reports of the tragic shooting involving Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. Our thoughts are with Charlie, his loved ones, and everyone affected. Agents will be on the scene quickly, and the FBI stands in full support of the ongoing response and investigation. That's Kash Patel. Matt Walsh is writing, Elon Musk, the shot looks real bad, but I hope Charlie makes it somehow. Thank you, Elon. Here's Morgan McMichael, who we've had on the show several times. She is a TPUSA contributor, and she works with TPUSA. She hosts one of their shows. We've had her on, like I said, several times on the show and at the events, the TPUSA events where we've hosted. I am sick to my stomach, angry, heartbroken, scared. Charlie Kirk is the most amazing, God-fearing, kind, bold man, husband and father who has changed millions of lives. This is evil. Charlie Kirk was shot from nearly 200 yards away. 200 yards away. That's wild. Charlie Kirk shot at youth, and then it's just over and over again. It's Michelle Tafoya, Harrison Craig, Matt Boyle. We are all praying for Charlie Kirk right now. That is true. Everybody please say a prayer for Charlie Kirk if you haven't already. It's going to be, hopefully he pulls through. Of course, we hope he pulls through. We want, for his family, for his children, for his wife, for the country. If the worst happens, I shudder to think what the reaction would be. I don't think it would be positive.
Horrific. And I got to tell you, Martha, there are so many of us conservative speakers who go out and do these events, and we want to talk to people, and we want to engage, and we want to have dialogue and debate. And it's so difficult to even organize these events because the security situation is always really anxiety inducing. I've been at TPUSA events at the University of New Mexico where the SWAT team had to be called in. I've been at an event at Clemson University that, of course, also had to have a big security presence because of the threats and the protesters. And it's just so sad that we've gotten to this point in this country where on college campuses where there should be so much dialogue and debate, this should be the epicenter for this discussion, has now turned into this environment where particularly conservative speakers have to fear for their lives when they go and just try to engage in a conversation. I'm so sickened to hear this. And like I said, first and foremost, I'm thinking of Charlie and his family.
It's Tommy Lahren, by the way.
Talk to us about Charlie,
host of Fearless,
as a person,
author,
as a friend, as a husband, as a dad.
So Charlie, like I said, I've known him since we were both, I was in my very early 20s. I don't even think he was in his 20s yet when I met Charlie Kirk. But he's always just been a visionary, and he understood very early on that having a counterculture and having conservative speaking and speaking to young people in relatable ways was so important. And he has always been so dedicated to that, from the very beginning when the events were, a couple dozen people to maybe a couple hundred people. And now, of course, thousands of people come out to see Charlie Kirk and attend these Turning Point USA events. I mean, he really built this himself from a very young age, and he recognized that there was a void in conservative speech and in conservative speakers, especially on college campuses, and he recognized that, and he's worked so hard to create these events, and he does such a good job with them, and he's actually opened the door for so many young conservatives to have a career and have, a voice in this business. A lot of us really owe a lot to Charlie Kirk, and that's why another reason why this is just so sickening for us to see.
Yeah, the shooter is in custody. We want to emphasize that. We're waiting to learn more details here, both obviously first and foremost about Charlie's condition and then also about this suspect. I believe Charlie was 18 or 19 years old when he started Turning Point. And Tommy, thank you very much for being with us. We're all obviously praying for Charlie and praying for his family as we cover this story. Tommy, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Former FBI special agent.
We'll get to the FBI here in a minute. So we were just at a Turning Point USA. I took my daughter, which, you know, ironically, you think it's, like I said, one of the safest places you think with all the security. And there was tons of security. There were metal detectors, of course. You couldn't get into the event in Tampa University without going through the metal detectors. There were FBI agents on scene. There was the Secret Service on scene, and it was high security, much as you would imagine at a grouping of conservatives, young conservatives in that number. And it was in Florida, which, like Utah, is a very conservative state, a state where you wouldn't think that there would be any danger to somebody like Charlie Kirk, a conservative icon. You wouldn't think you would. And again, you see the crowds. There's 2,000 to 3,000 people that were thrilled to be there. Some protesters, sure, but most people that just there to hear him talk, hear him debate, get a free hat, hang out, see Charlie Kirk. That's how all the TPUSA events, that's how they all are. But one of the things that I wanted to emphasize was we were invited to a dinner by Rumble, and the most amazing thing was the video they showed about Charlie Kirk and how he created TPUSA, how TPUSA came to be. Charlie Kirk built this as a teenager, and they showed video of him and television footage of him talking about it, how he built it, as Tommy Lahren just told you there, from a dozen people in a room to 24, college campus by college campus. He went around. Then eventually he had his first convention, then another one. And there are, every year there are so many. There are so many of these events. It's not just one convention. He has the Student Action Summit, which happened just this past August here in Tampa, Florida. At Christmas time in Phoenix, they're scheduled for America Fest, which is the largest grouping of conservatives, I believe, second only maybe to CPAC, maybe even bigger than that now. Every politician, from President Donald Trump to Vice President J.D. Vance to Governor Ron DeSantis, every politician comes out and speaks at Charlie Kirk's event. At TPUSA just this past August, we saw Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly famously was on stage with Charlie Kirk when the Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel news broke. You know, Dan Bongino is probably running around the FBI at this moment trying to do everything he can to find out what's going on, because it is somebody who is near and dear to every broadcaster. That's the other thing too about Charlie Kirk. He's not just this icon for conservatism and the youth movement. He's not just TPUSA. He's a radio host. He's a TV personality, and he's a close confidant of President Donald Trump. Let's listen in. Here's a couple of eyewitnesses.
Right. So I don't know. I hope it all gets figured out, and I really don't want this to happen again.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. From what I heard, it was a sniper from a long ways away. So I don't know. I think the focus of this should probably be on probably some sort of gun control or something like that, so that things like this can't happen again.
I don't know. Thank you guys so much for doing that. I don't know that these are the...
Getting live reaction from people who were witnesses in Orem, Utah, at Utah Valley University, as Charlie Kirk was doing a Prove Me Wrong event on campus on a beautiful day at the university. Jason Chaffetz is back with us again, and he was there. Short distance, really, away from the speaker. And we're looking, I'm not sure, this is live from KUTV on the screen here. I'm not sure what building this is that we're seeing. I don't know if Jason can see the building that we're looking at right now, but go ahead, Jason.
I think that's off campus. I don't know it's not a familiar part of it. The campus is largely cement and green.
I'm hearing it's Regional Hospital, Jason. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah. See, now that it's zooming out, now this is Timpanogos Regional Hospital, which is Orem, which is probably a little bit closer to Utah Valley University. But yeah, that would make sense. In terms of proximity, that's the closest. It's not the level 1 trauma. Somebody said it was level 2, but level 1 trauma at Utah Valley. But nevertheless, if time is of the essence and you got to be somewhere fast, that's the one you're going to go to.
So we also had this information coming from the campus authorities, Jason, which, according to their early take on this, they're saying it was from a building about 200. I want to get this right. 200 yards from the speaker. To the best of our knowledge, it says it happened at 12:20, which you of course know. But your thoughts on that, if indeed that turns out to be accurate?
Look, who am I to suggest that the authorities may have gotten it wrong? That may be a little bit preliminary. I was in one of those buildings. Those windows, a lot of those windows don't even open. I don't know. Charlie was sitting under an awning. This is sunken down. So if you're sitting where Charlie is, it graduates up. Now, are there angles where buildings are available and to...
All right, this is very interesting. So now they're saying, and Charlie Kirk, once again, he was sitting, let me flip back here to Newsmax for a second. You can see there, he was sitting underneath the tent. This is the American Comeback tent, the Prove Me Wrong tent. Anyone who follows Charlie Kirk on any social media or has watched him over the years understands what this is. Prove Me Wrong is an open forum where Charlie Kirk says, hey, here's what I think. Now you can come up to the microphone and you can have your opportunity to talk. Let's have a debate. Let's have a peaceful debate and talk about our opinions and talk about what I think and what you think. Try to prove me wrong. And he invites that kind of debate, that peaceful debate. And he's very respectful. He's never rude. I don't think I've ever once heard him curse or call anybody a name. He doesn't berate people. He never comments negatively about their appearances, although he could. This is something that is part of his repertoire, and it's how he's built such a great following. And the bullet, as you can see, the shot rang out there, and the bullet hit him in the neck. They stopped the footage right there, but there is footage out there. There are visuals of closer up. As you can see, there is security. I mean, you can clearly see security guards standing right there, eyeing the crowd, looking out over the crowd. But at 200 yards away in a building, that shows that maybe the security at the, surrounding the tent, the security on the ground, the security there on the campus where the students were gathered surely was heightened. But perhaps the security of the rest of the university, the security of the rest of the University of Utah Valley University, maybe the buildings weren't as secure as one might think. Again, it was a single shot. It was to the neck, and it was from 200 yards away. We don't know who that guy is that they have in custody, but if that guy in custody was able to make a single shot from a building 200 yards away and hit Charlie Kirk in the neck, that clearly is somebody that is skilled with a rifle. Again, we don't know what he is. We don't know his motive. As soon as he was arrested, he said, I have the right to remain silent. So again, this seems like somebody who knew what they were doing from beginning to end. They knew where Charlie Kirk would be. They knew what building they could get access to. They knew what angle they would have to be at. They knew how to take a single shot and put it where they wanted it to go. And then they knew afterward how to handle the police. It's really it's a scary situation, especially when you see this happen with President Donald Trump back on the campaign trail when he was in Pennsylvania. And the shooter was able to get up on the roof of that shed and shoot Donald Trump in the side of the head. Donald Trump survived. There was a second attempt on Donald Trump's life at one of his golf courses. And that guy, just this past week, they've started the trial. And now here we are, just over a year after. It was July 15th? So a year and 2 months. And we still have political violence in this country. Somebody trying their darndest to execute Charlie Kirk. And that's what Fox News is correct. This is an assassination attempt on not even a politician. Charlie Kirk is not an elected official. Charlie Kirk is just a crusader. He's somebody who built a political organization, but he holds no political office. He has no power to vote or to make change in any way, shape, or form. He simply spreads a message of Christianity and conservatism.
Warrior, Jason, and always has been.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of his appeal. And as you were saying,
there's JD Vance rather with Don Trump Jr. and Charlie Kirk backstage at one of these events. Again, at the TPUSA events, if you ever go to one, or if you ever even just look online at the lineup of people who are there, it's every conservative thinker. Charlie Kirk brings everybody together. He doesn't care if you've had a feud with somebody. He doesn't care how you voted. If you're a conservative, he makes room for you. And these speeches are 15 minutes at a time. So there's so many, they packed the place. I told you, Russell Brand was at the last one. Tom Homan was at the last one. Charlie Kirk's goal was not to make himself famous, but to promote these kinds of ideals, the ideals that our American founding fathers wanted us to have. He wanted people to make sure that we were putting together leaders and electing leaders that would be pushing the ideals of our founding fathers, that would be conservative, that would have Christian values. He was very devout, still is very devout, very devout guy. And the fact that he's been able to reach out to every single, you think of a superstar in the Republican Party, he knew them, he put them on stage, and he did it again because he was selfless. He was not selfish. He's not going out there and saying, this is the Charlie Kirk show. I mean, he had his own show, but he wanted everybody to have their own say. And he wanted to put together an event where everybody could come on and have an opinion. Newsmax reporting that he was rushed to the hospital, conditions still unknown. Jason Chaffetz, by the way, was there at the event, which is why Fox News is talking to him so long. He was there on the ground. He was there beside Charlie Kirk, backstage before Charlie Kirk took the stage. He said people were chanting USA. They were chanting Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was throwing out the 47 hats. It is just tragic that this would even happen. And again, we're all hoping to God that the best outcome is we need. The best outcome in this situation. Anything other than the best outcome, I think, would have a tragic end for a lot of people. I just don't think it would be good for the country if something horrible happens. So we definitely need prayers right now for Charlie Kirk and for everybody else involved in this, for his wife, for his kids, for everybody. Let's listen in one more time.
Christ the Latter-day Saints. But he tackled that right away from the first question. And I think he gave it the right, when we go back and play the video and you listen to his answer, he says what he's always said, which is get on your knees, pray. And he talked about your spiritual journey. So even though the person he was speaking with disagreed with him, he talked about your spiritual journey like my spiritual journey. And it was so well received. And then the second person came up to speak and was given the mic. And that's when the question was, do you know how many people, and I'm not getting it verbatim, Martha, but do you know how many people of transgenderism have participated in gun violence and mass shootings versus non-transgender? And as Charlie Kirk was getting ready to answer that and have this discussion back and forth, that's when the shot rang out. And that's why we're sitting here now talking about it.
And that was at 12:20 Utah time. We're watching these images as people scattered from that place. Obviously very frightening for everybody there. Jason, stay with us. Thank you very much for being here. I know it's been a very emotional day for you and for your family. Joining me now by phone is Chris Swecker, former FBI Assistant Director. We have spoken with Chris on many similar occasions during shootings and the beginnings of investigations. And Chris, welcome. We know the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, has said that the FBI agents are en route to this scene. Give us your reaction to what we're covering here today.
Yeah, I've been listening to the coverage with great interest. And, of course, you know, Charlie is an iconic personality and an iconic figure in conservative circles. And beyond that, even as you mentioned, he wants to hear from everybody. My mind goes immediately to the fact that this, because of who he is and where he was, this feels like political violence to me. And it's no consolation to his family or his friends or anyone else for that matter. But it does matter in the sense that, you know, when it's political violence, it's terrorism.
Yeah, that is a great point. It is domestic terrorism. It is somebody attacking Charlie Kirk, we imagine, for no other reason other than the fact that he is a conservative Christian influencer, and a very popular one here in this country. There is, we're getting a lot of, we'll pull up some comments here. Cajun Lass writes, wait, what the hell happened? All right, let me recap. If you're just joining us, Charlie Kirk was at an event at the university, at Utah Valley University, one of his typical events. He does these events all the time. He's actually scheduled to do a couple of, there was a debate scheduled with, at Dartmouth College here in a couple of weeks. And he goes around and he spreads the word. He does these events with people. He comes out, they speak, he asks questions, he gets the crowd involved. And as you can see, there were 2,000 to 3,000 people outdoors at this venue at Utah Valley University. Again, Utah, very conservative state, very red state. Utah Valley University, a place where you think there would be safety for somebody with Charlie's political leanings. But not in this case. The shooter, it was about a little after 12. Charlie Kirk was seated underneath the canopy that you see there, and the shooter fired a single shot. They say now, they're reporting from about 200 feet away at some kind of upper level in some kind of building. And the one shot hit Charlie Kirk in the neck. You could see the bullet come out the other side. There was some blood loss immediately, of course. And Charlie Kirk just kind of fell over. That was, of course, after he came out and started speaking to the crowd, started taking questions, started throwing out hats, started interacting, started doing what Charlie Kirk does. One single shot was fired. They do have the shooter in custody, this older gentleman with glasses. He was wearing shorts and a T-shirt. The police have him down on the ground. He's mumbling under his breath, "I have the right to remain silent. I have the right to remain silent." That's what they're saying. And they say now he was shot. Here we go. It looks like they're saying he was shot from the nearby Losi Center. I'm not familiar at all with Utah Valley University. It's one of the buildings that is. Let's see if we can listen into Newsmax here and see what they're saying. Let me just pause Fox News here for just 1 second. We're getting all this news live. Like I said, it just happened as soon as our show was over today.
From the little bit
and we jumped in.
This was swift. This was secret. Apparently, no one else knew it, because they likely would have gotten it out, see something, say something. It was savage to the extent that he came there to do business. He shot him apparently in the neck or in the head area. So he was very focused, this individual, and reasonably well planned, because wherever his assassin's perch was, we don't know yet, and we'll know all this in short order, no one else intervened. No one else saw him likely unfold or take out of a bag a rifle. It's not like pulling a revolver out of your waistband.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it was a rifle shot based on your excellent FBI guest earlier. He broke it down nice ballistically and trajectorially and so forth. And I concur based on the known facts at this juncture so early in the aftermath. So I actually see, and it saddens me to say it, it destroys me to say it, but a lot of these same parallels we saw in the Minneapolis shooting at Annunciation Church, right? Just 2 weeks ago. Swift, savage, secret. Secret's the key. So this is not someone, that individual, who conveyed it to someone else who knew and could have shared it with the authorities. This is what we know, and maybe something could have been done. It's just so little is known. It's just, but a lot will be known very, very quickly.
You're right. We are hearing the AP. AP is reporting that he is in critical condition in the hospital, and that he is being worked on at this time. Also, as we've been saying, 31-year-old happily married father of 2 young children. We are looking at one of those beautiful images on the screen right now. This man, such an inspiration for so many, literally larger than life, standing at 6'5", such an inspiration, but also described by so many as someone who just wanted to talk to other people. Sat down with Gavin Newsom on his podcast about 6 months ago, really just trying to bring people together, it seems, rather than to separate them. And sometimes, it seems to me that those people who maybe have the best intentions are often the biggest targets.
Yes, sad but true. I mean, the reality is that there's an extraordinary probability that is the precise reason that his rhetoric, as measured and pragmatic and actually considerate as it was, as one of your earlier guests stated accurately, he was no firebrand. He was not Brim and Firestone at all. He was actually very measured, and this clearly incensed someone in their twisted secret mind, right, trapped within the walls of their mind, to take this extraordinarily vicious, vile, wicked, and evil to that next level where they actually were able to gain access in some capacity within striking range for certain, and have the ability and the skill set and perhaps the training to put a bullet in the upper neck area, apparently, of Charlie Kirk from likely a very significant distance. It's just so sad that we're so divisive at this juncture in America, with all the great things that are happening, that you have individuals like this who are sick and twisted and a bit of a smartass, to be honest, with his first person rhetoric to the arresting officers. I have the right to remain silent, right. Cute, that's cuteness. And that's the end of his cuteness, though, because now he's in the death clutch, and maybe the needle is in his future, hopefully, because this is an absolutely reprehensible crime on every level. But again, swift, secret, savage, well-planned, focused. Those common denominators, the same at 345 Park Avenue, right? 5 weeks ago. Very, 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 very difficult to mitigate, identify and mitigate swiftly. It's just sad reality of an open society.
As we pray here for Charlie Kirk, waiting more updates there in the hospital. Critical condition is the last we've heard so far. I just want to get your thoughts on, from the law enforcement perspective, in terms of they do have this suspect. That
is an interesting point that guy brings up. He brings up the point that this happened in a place where there was no intervention. There was nobody that, I mean, again, if you're 200 yards away and you take a single shot and you're able to direct a bullet that accurately towards someone's neck from that distance, you have a high-powered rifle. You know how to use it. It takes some time. It takes some. I mean, you've got to be calm, and you can't be distracted. You're not standing in a crowd. There was nobody to intervene. So somehow this guy was able to plan out and access a spot where he could do this in secrecy almost. It was a place where nobody was around. And he had the vantage point that he needed. Unfortunately, Charlie Kirk. It says now that he is in critical condition. Let's go back here real quick to X and get the latest on X. We're just going to, and like I said, everything's coming out so quickly. We do have kind of the basics at the moment, but we're trying to get more. And again, Charlie Kirk, like I said, a lot of the people who typically are bringing this information are so tight with him. I mean, Benny Johnson, for example, is part of TPUSA, has known Charlie Kirk forever. Governor Cox, again, we saw that earlier. When people are, let's see, Charlie Kirk, we'll go see here what the latest is coming out. Just people, everybody's commenting. Some people on the left are saying disgusting things. Here's J.B. Pritzker apparently blaming Donald Trump. Let's take a listen.
Complicity, anyway, of a broader conspiracy.
Yeah, that's right.
Family and to Charlie Kirk, who obviously has, become a target for somebody. I don't know whether it's political violence because I don't know who did it. I know they seem to have somebody in custody. But I will say that political violence, unfortunately, has been ratcheting up in this country. We saw the shootings, the killings in Minnesota. We've seen other political violence occur in other states. And I would just say it's got to stop. And I think there are people who are fomenting it in this country. I think the president's rhetoric often foments it. We've seen the January 6th rioters who clearly, have tripped a new era of political violence.
That's just horrible. This is J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, who wants to run for president, by the way, and he's blaming Donald Trump for this. He's blaming the January 6th rioters. He's somehow blaming Donald Trump's rhetoric for somebody trying to assassinate Charlie Kirk. I'm not sure I see the correlation other than the fact that J.B. Pritzker is just that's just horrible. There's people celebrating, of course, as you would imagine. There's people on the left who are just, I guess, excited about what they see here. But let's get rid of those. There's a lot of photos of him and his family, and then, of course, prayers for Charlie Kirk from the Trump War Room. There's prayers for Charlie Kirk. O'Keefe team at HQ is all standing unified and lifting Charlie Kirk up in prayer right now, and he needs your prayers. Yeah, everybody pray. Everybody pray. Dom Lucre, breaker of narratives. I just saw him. He was at the event as well. He's talking about how he worked with Charlie Kirk, how Charlie Kirk changed him forever.
Watching that video of Charlie Kirk, I'm not a crying man. But I just can't believe this. Yeah, I can't believe it, man. We fight so much on this app. We fight so much on this internet over just frivolous things that's so unimportant. And there are people out here trying to kill us. And we still try to kill each other. They just shot this man in front of the whole world. I can't even look at the camera, bro, because I'm going to get too emotional about this, bro. But we just got to stick together, man. That man is an American hero. If they can do that to him, they can do that to anyone. And they will. This is one of the most significant assassination attempts since MLK. This man changed America in ways that he never gets the credit for. I mean, we can credit us even having Gen Z, millennials, and any generation after completely to Charlie Kirk. Thanks to him. This man is an American hero and a God-fearing man. And we all might have some distant differences, but it's time to let them go. It's time to let our differences go. Because I regret for the last things that we say about each other. Not be a positivity, love, and motivating each other to be good, motivating each other to stay safe. But to play into drama, to play into beef, just for clicks, it ain't worth it, man. This is real life. This internet stuff, it ain't worth it. I'm praying for this man. I don't even know why I'm making this video. I feel so defeated.
That is the sentiment I'm sure a lot of people have. Again, Dom Lucre, he's an influencer. And as an influencer, when you do this for a living and you go out and you meet with people and you go to these events, you don't ever think about something like this happening. But something like this, unfortunately, because of the vitriol by a lot of the media, by a lot of politicians, by a lot of people who mischaracterize what Charlie Kirk and his supporters and Donald Trump and his supporters are. I mean, you've got the media that are out there every single day talking about Republican voters. Joe Biden, the president of the United States, said that we're all garbage. So when you have this kind of message over and over and over again, you're going to start to see this kind of violence more and more, unfortunately. Let's go back to... let's see. Newsmax is going to Greta Van Susteren, and it looks like she's got. All right, let's listen. Let's go back to Fox for just a second and see what Will. Let's see what the latest is from Fox News. I think Will is up. I don't hear anything. Oh, he's praying.
However, and to whomever you pray, I hope in this moment that you can pray for Charlie Kirk. President Trump is among those speaking out, writing on X. We must all pray for Charlie Kirk, who has been shot, a great guy from top to bottom. God bless him. We want to take you now to the scene. It's total and utter chaos. People running and screaming. Utah Valley University, that was hosting the event, releasing the following statement.
Oh, here we go.
At about 12:20, shots were fired from a building about 200 yards from the speaker. To the best of our knowledge, the individual was hit and was taken away immediately by his security personnel. Campus is closed for the rest of the day, and our campus police has a suspect in custody. And now we're starting to hear from some of the eyewitnesses on the ground.
From what I'm hearing, if it's true, the guy who got shot, he was a pretty big influence in whatever was going, like their agenda, right? So if I don't know, I hope it all like gets figured out, and I really don't.
Yeah, I don't know about these eyewitnesses. They found this couple earlier. They didn't really have a lot of substantive things to say.
And he joins us now.
Oh,
Jason, thanks
Chavez
for
is still
doing
there.
what you've been doing all day today, which is sharing your experience for the last couple of hours. I'm going to have to ask you to do it once again. Tell me about your day and what you saw in Utah.
I mean, we were all excited. Charlie Kirk was showing up. You know, Utah Valley University. It's our state's largest university. 40,000 students. Our daughter and son-in-law were so excited to go. So I went. They went. My wife was coming to it. It was, you know, Charlie puts on a unique event. There were about 2,000 people, if I had to guess. I was there earlier. I had traded text messages with Charlie Kirk. Excited that he was coming, hoping to see him beforehand. Thought maybe we could see him afterwards because, you know, he's got his hands full of things he's got to do. He started right on time at noon, came out, started throwing hats out in the crowd. Everybody was cheering and yelling. First person, as Charlie does, people come up to a microphone really close and they ask a question. And he got into a dialogue about religion. And Charlie went out of his way to say, look, you know, we're predominantly LDS, or members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, if you will. And he said, look, I'm not here to argue religion. I'm here to talk to you about your spiritual journey. We may disagree on some things, but I believe in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And I believe
Jason Chavez was there. And again, this is something that we heard earlier today. Zoran Mamdani, the self-proclaimed socialist who's running and leading the mayoral race in New York, wrote, I'm horrified by the shooting of Charlie Kirk at a college event in Utah. Political violence has no place in our country. And of course, Joey Manorino immediately says, you caused this. People asking still want to defund the police. Your party is responsible for this. You people are vile. Except at Columbia, people are going, why is it always the same party over and over promoting violence? There, of course, will be, no doubt, will be a lot of other folks who will be bringing up all of the hateful rhetoric from the left about going out. There's JD Vance posting a photo with himself, and you've got Don Jr., chase more ballots. You know, as we discussed, one of the biggest initiatives that Charlie Kirk had in this last election was the ballot chasing, was getting volunteers on the ground, was spending millions. He raised and spent millions and millions of dollars to chase every ballot. And I told you, I was there at the TPUSA event in August with my daughter, and they always handed out stickers and buttons and things like that. And one of the buttons they had was something like "Hot Girls Chase Ballots" or something like that. You know, he was really very good at getting the youth movement or getting the youth involved in politics. And it was something that he was able to do better than anyone else. And so this is something, again, JD Vance posting a memory of him backstage. Again, all prayers. It's all prayers at the moment. People are posting the photo of him at the point of impact. And then again, the photo of the man who apparently is involved in the shooter, Nancy Mace, Congresswoman, and maybe the next governor of South Carolina, posting, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, I've been told Charlie Kirk is alive 5 minutes ago. So Marjorie Taylor Greene reporting, I've been told Charlie Kirk is alive. That's good news. Continue praying for Charlie. America saw a miracle after Trump was shot because we as a nation were praying a covering of protection over him before he was shot in Butler. America needs to see another miracle from all of us praying for Charlie after what looked unsurvivable. America needs to believe in God. I believe in miracles because I believe in Jesus, the Son of God. In the name of Jesus, please save Charlie Kirk. So reports from Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene that Charlie Kirk is alive. Let's repost this real quick while we have it up here so that we can get that word out. Good news from Rep MTG regarding Charlie Kirk. Keep praying. All right, let's see what else, what other kind of reports. And again, when you're, Olivia Krolczyk, we also Well, she's getting into it with some of the left. Attorney General Ken Paxton from Texas, who could be the next senator when he defeats John Cornyn, praying Charlie is alive and Turning Point UK. Charlie is alive and fighting in hospital. Please join us in praying for him. So there are lots of reports that Charlie Kirk has at this point survived the wound and is alive in the hospital and in critical condition. All, again, fantastic news. Keep praying. Do not stop praying for Charlie Kirk. Graham Allen, again, another one who was for several years involved very highly in the movement with TPUSA, spoke at many TPUSA events over the years as well. Pray for Charlie Kirk. He was shot on campus. Let's see what else. Dan Bongino, I don't have the words. God help Charlie and his family. I knew that one was coming for sure. Like I said, we are going to keep waiting for information. Dave Portnoy is chiming in. Absolutely disgusting and disturbing video from Charlie Kirk's shooting today, hoping for the best for him and his family. Anybody who is happy about this is a disgusting human. Pretty solid statement there from Dave Portnoy. I would have to 100% agree. James Woods posting, it's not gun violence, it's Democrat violence. Also a strong and truthful statement from James Woods. We're going to, like I said, we're going to keep watching here. We're going to see Mark Meadows. Let's talk to Mark Meadows here real quick, or let's listen in to Mark Meadows here real quick. He's on Newsmax, which is right here.
Encourage your viewers not to go try to look
seems
up.
To be able to
and yet, when we see this, I'm reminded, I'm a dad. My son's older than Charlie. My daughter's his age. When you start to think about it, it comes home. And what we've allowed to happen is for these senseless acts to happen, and yet not to condemn the evil that they are. I mean...
Let's go back to Fox News for a second here.
Obvious reasons, but I can tell you it is deeply disturbing as you watch it. Charlie Kirk sitting under that small tent that we saw on the campus there of Utah Valley University. He is sitting under there when you hear a single shot, which clearly from those of us who have some familiarity with weapons sounds like a high-powered rifle. The university saying it was shot from around 200 yards. As you heard Jason Chaffetz there saying he thought it was closer than that. Some of the buildings, which are 2 or 3 stories high, surrounding the area around a sort of amphitheater there, and the tent on one side of that amphitheater looked to be more like 50 to 100 yards away, but those details will come out. We all have also seen video of someone apparently on the campus being arrested. We do not know, obviously, at that point, if the video that we have seen is the shooter. I can tell you that the person who was being led away by police was an elderly gentleman, looked to me to be in his 60s. Again, we have no idea at this point, no official confirmation that that is indeed the alleged shooter. But clearly, Charlie Kirk was hit directly by that single shot. And we're now getting a lot of reaction on X from politicians on both sides of the aisle. From Senate Majority Leader John Thune, for instance, quote, "There is no place in our country for political violence, period. Full stop. Please join me in praying for Charlie Kirk." From House Speaker Johnson, please join us in praying for our good friend, Charlie Kirk. From Steve Scalise, please join me in praying for Charlie Kirk after this senseless act. DNC Chair Ken Martin writes, "I'm horrified by the news coming out of Utah about the attack on Charlie Kirk. Political violence has no place in our country, not now and not ever. Praying for him and his family." Here in California, Governor Gavin Newsom saying, quote, "The attack on Charlie Kirk is disgusting, vile, and reprehensible. In the United States of America, we must reject political violence in every form." And from former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, quote, "The horrific shooting today at Utah Valley University is reprehensible. Political violence has absolutely no place in our nation. All Americans should pray for Charlie Kirk's recovery and hold the entire UVU community in our hearts as they endure the trauma of this gun violence. And from former Vice President Kamala Harris, quote, I am deeply disturbed by the shooting in Utah. Doug and I send our prayers to Charlie Kirk and his family. Let me be clear, political violence has no place in America. I condemn this act, and we all must work together to ensure this does not lead to more violence.
Wasn't it?
Also speaking out, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, whose wife Gabby Giffords was shot at a political event in 2011. Listen here.
I mean, it's just another horrible act of political violence that has no place in our country. I mean, it's just kind of a loss of words. It is, a horrendous thing to see, and it happens all too often. I'm thinking about him and his, family, and I hope, they makes a recovery from this.
I believe Mark Kelly because it's true about Gabby Giffords. I mean,
Charlie,
of all the Democrats, he's probably the most believable. But
Mark Kelly, there, Senator
I don't
Kelly
take Nancy
speaks for all of us
Pelosi's
when
word.
he says, with regard to what has happened to Charlie Kirk, that we are all at a loss for words today. An extraordinary act of political violence, Will, and we wait to hear more, obviously, about Charlie Kirk's condition. Will.
All right. Thank you for that report, Jonathan. In addition to those politicians, almost every conservative influencer that you can imagine, almost every Politico has posted today on social media sending their prayers to Charlie Kirk. Almost everyone has invoked him as a friend. I heard Sandra Smith and John Roberts talk earlier today about their friendship with Charlie Kirk. I as well have a friendship with Charlie Kirk. That doesn't make any one of us unique. It actually makes Charlie unique. In a game and in a business where there is so much selfishness and so much self-focus and zero-sum game and competition, Charlie Kirk is a giving and willing friend who will send you a message praising your work, who's always there to support. And Charlie Kirk, knowing the threats that follow him, bravely continued to go out there every day and take on anyone who might disagree, to engage. That's why you'll see all over the place today prayers for Charlie Kirk.
Yeah,
all right, let's bring in Joey Gallegos, who is a sophomore at Utah Valley University and was on the scene today.
Let's listen to this guy quickly. Then I want to get to Megan Kelly. Megan Kelly posted a video.
You were in the crowd, some thousands there at the university. Yeah. Please share with us your experience.
So I was right there up at the barricade, and I was like 15, maybe 10 feet away from Charlie. And I remember the debater who was debating asked him about transgender gun violence or something, and then and that's when I heard I was reporting it, and then I heard the loud bang, which I can only imagine was a gunshot because everyone immediately dropped to the floor. And then it was just chaos. Like, everyone was screaming, everyone was trying to get over each other, get over the barricade to get out of the courtyard. It didn't really register to me that what happened until I was a little bit out of it, and that's when the fear really struck. And I just called on my loved ones, just bawling, making sure, that I was alive. But yeah, it was not very fun.
Joey, I think that I heard you say you were something like only 15 feet away from Charlie. Were you able, because I think everybody watching is hoping, praying, and seeking information on the condition of Charlie, were you able to see him after this horrible shooting?
So I was reporting, and I dropped to look at my phone to stop it, and that's when the gun went off. But I do remember, as I was trying to run away, like, I think he was on the floor, but I rewatched the video that I had took, and you could see him, jump back and then fall off. So I really hope he's okay, but from the looks of it, I don't know.
Joey, I have two boys, both teenagers. They often say to me, do you know Charlie Kirk? And I say, yes, I'm friends with Charlie Kirk. A lot of young people, when I meet them, last weekend, I was at a college campus at Ohio State, and they asked me, do I know Charlie Kirk? What is it about Charlie Kirk that brought you and so many out today in Utah?
Well, I just remember, I remember watching him about a year ago, and he was just really, really inspiring, just to the youth of our country, and just all of his ethics, his morale, just it was everything. It was life changing for me, honestly. Like I became a Republican because of Charlie.
And that's so many young people. That's so many people his age. I became a Republican because of Charlie Kirk. Here's Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly, you may remember, we were just talking about it again in August here in Tampa, Florida, right down the road at the Student Action Summit. It was one of the more interesting Student Action Summits we'd ever had. It was the day that there were reports that Dan Bongino was quitting the FBI because of the Epstein files, because of what happened, that he didn't like Pam Bondi, that he was in a fight with Kash Patel, that all these things were going on. And Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk had a very direct conversation on stage in front of everybody about Pam Bondi. And Megyn Kelly made some really strong remarks about Pam Bondi. We were all there. She, of course, very tight with Charlie Kirk. Here's what she posted a little while ago, right after the shooting. She posted this a couple minutes ago. Let me pull up the audio so we can all hear.
Stuff.
Let me pause this audio. All right, here we go. Here's Megyn Kelly's response.
Pray. We can pray. We can pray, God, that he survived this. Pray for his family. Pray for his children, his 2 young children. And ask ourselves what our country is coming to. How does this happen? How does somebody whose only job is to comment on political matters wind up a target for an assassin? This is the United States of America. We have commentators. We have provocative commentators. This is what we've been doing since the dawn of time. Pray. We can pray.
Yeah, it is. Look, as a provocative commentator, she's absolutely right. There is always a sense that, there are people who will send out a message that is, angry or provocative or you may not like. And then there are people that write you and say, you're a horrible person. You're a Nazi. You're a white supremacist. I wish you would die. All these things. And as someone who's been doing this for a very long time, I've been getting a lot of those messages for a very long time from Republicans and Democrats alike. If I showed you my messages on Facebook every single day, you would be shocked. All simply because of the content that I post, because of my beliefs, and because of the people that I promote, like President Donald Trump and his agenda and other conservatives. Also, when you're promoting people, you're attacking the ideals of another sect of people who you think are dangerous to this country. And these kinds of events prove that. But Megyn Kelly is right. There are so many people out there who make a living, a solid living, and an important living by commenting on political events and giving opinions and debating. And debate should never, ever end the way that it ended today. Again, we're all praying for Charlie Kirk, and there are reports that he has a pulse. There are reports that he is alive. The Situation Room is, let's listen into Fox News again.
The perpetrator. So just quickly developing a situation here, awaiting any more news from officials. The president shared his concern, called for prayers, as did the vice president, the secretary of war, so many officials from the top on down. And outside the White House, I don't see any change in security posture just yet, but we have asked if Secret Service is on high alert as a result of this apparent act of political violence. So just awaiting anything new that we can share with you, Will.
Jackie, we've seen the social media post today from the vice president, from the secretary of war. You know as well as I do that Charlie was not just influential with students and young people, but he was influential with the White House. And he was on a personal level friends with many of the men that we were just discussing. I know for a fact his friendship with many of those now world leaders. What, if you've had any chance to connect with them today, what have you gathered? What is their mindset and the climate inside the White House?
Just horror that this could happen to somebody who is so close to them. This administration, I think, has taken sort of a new approach of integrating different types of media. And Charlie certainly fits in that category as somebody who is very active online and who brought the political conversation to sort of a demographic that might not otherwise see it in print or on television. They are sort of forward-leaning and trying to engage audiences in different places. And Charlie goes to the schools where kids, voters, young voters are. That was where this happened today. So,
all right, breaking news. Bo Loudon, who is very close with the president, 1 minute ago tweeted out Charlie Kirk has passed away. Again, that was, let me bring this over here. That was 1 minute ago. I don't have any confirmation of this. Bo Loudon is very close with the president. He's very close with Barron Trump. Bo Loudon just posted, Charlie Kirk has passed away. He was shot for simply working to bring Gen Z back to God. President Trump, there was another report that Just the News was also, I don't know if this is true. I want to go back and the left is so. Again, this is the only person I've seen that posted it. Charlie is alive and fighting is what they just posted from the Turning Point USA account. We're trying to get the latest information. I hope that is not accurate. I haven't seen anything on Fox. There's been nothing. Oh, disclosed.tv. Charlie Kirk pronounced dead. That's the second source. At age 31. 17 seconds ago, Charlie Kirk reportedly has a pulse. Will Summer. Charlie Kirk has died at 31 after being shot today, according to conservative online channel Real America's Voice, where Kirk's show aired. Tim Pool writing 23 minutes ago that he's alive. There are more and more reports. Charlie Kirk has died. That is the worst news ever. There are now more and more reports that Charlie Kirk has died at 31. I'm just trying to find. That's several. That's three reports now. I've not seen anything from the mainstream news media. I've not seen anything from Fox News or Newsmax. AP still reporting Charlie Kirk is in critical condition. Newsmax is in commercial. We're going to go back to Fox.
Jonathan Gillum, thank you all for being with us here today. Buck, let's start together. And I think I'd like to start here. You and I are both friends with Charlie. Let's talk about Charlie the man for a moment. You might have heard me talking a little bit earlier about how supportive he is of everyone. I'm sure of you. I'm sure of me. He is a family man. He is a father. He is a Christian, a true believer in Jesus Christ. Tell us about the man you know, Charlie Kirk.
Charlie is a force of nature for good in this country and around the world. I met Charlie a decade ago. I spoke at one of his very first events before, honestly, anybody really even knew the name Charlie Kirk, and have had just a lot of time spent talking to him. I remember sitting down with him in my living room when I lived in Washington, D.C. We're sketching out ways to win back the youth in this country to constitutionalism and to sanity and I'm sorry, it's upset. This whole thing was. I've never almost thrown up before on the radio, and that happened. We were talking about this live. Look, I'm still pulling for Charlie and praying for Charlie. I just can't believe this has happened. There's shock for a lot of us who know him, and shock for the country and for the state that this puts us in. We know that he was shot. We know that he's grievously wounded. He's in the hospital right now, and prayers are up all over the country. That already puts us in a place that it's going to get very dark. It's a very shocking and terrifying place for the country to be right now. And I know we want to focus on. I'm sorry, Will. I know we focus on what a great individual Charlie is, and he is. The whole thing is just so hard. I just can't believe the guy's an unstoppable force. He's a dynamo, and I'm just praying for him with every fiber of my being, because he's a father, he's a husband, he's a great friend, he's a great been a great mentor to so many young people in particular all over the country. Built an incredible international organization, helped deliver this amazing win to Donald Trump in the last election. He's just a critical figure for our time right now. And
I'm also seeing, so there are mixed reports. Nothing, I haven't seen any serious confirmation from sources that I 100% trust that he's passed away. I have seen Bo Loudon, who I know is very close with the president's family. Real America's Voice has posted Charlie Kirk assassinated. That was posted a little while ago. There's also reports now that the old man that was arrested was not the shooter, and that the shooter is still at large. Real America's Voice apparently is the only place that is reporting the worst.
News that Charlie Kirk has passed. John Solomon's reporting on Just the News that he's passed. Yes, is this what I'm hearing? Yes, can I get it here?
Yeah. All right, so that's Just the News. Still, we're still waiting. We're still waiting for Just the News reports Charlie Kirk has died at the age of 31. Real America's Voice is reporting on Just the News's report. Let me pull this up on screen so everyone can follow along. That's all we've seen other than the Bo Loudon report. But again, I don't have any concrete 14 seconds ago. It's about Will Kane. We're still waiting. I see on Newsmax, Newsmax is reporting Charlie Kirk in critical condition, and Fox News is reporting Charlie Kirk in critical condition. Nobody else, mainstream, has reported that Charlie Kirk is no longer with us. So we're going to continue to pray and continue to go along with that. I am, however, monitoring several different places to see what the latest is. And if conditions change one way or the other, of course, we'll bring that to you. This is one of the most heartbreaking stories that's ever happened. This is really, when you think about Charlie Kirk and when you think about the impact that he has on so many people and what he's been able to accomplish, you just assumed he would be there forever fighting. Here's Governor Ron DeSantis.
Before we get started, I'd just like to make a comment on the shooting in Utah involving Charlie Kirk. A lot of people in Florida have known Charlie through the years. Casey and I have gotten to know him for over a decade, and he's somebody that a lot of people have a great regard for. He's done a lot, and he was shot apparently in a targeted way. And so we're praying for him and his family, but I think we also have to reflect on the fact that the way to resolve political disputes is not through violence, and we see increasing levels of political violence in this country. Charlie would go to college campuses and he would articulate views that were very much outside of what most of the professors were offering or what the campus culture was offering. And the way to do that is to ask questions, debate. That's what the Republic is based on. And what happened today, was not just an attack on Charlie personally, but really an attack on the idea that we resolve these things through reasoned debate and elections. And so Casey and I are praying for him and his family, and this is not what we want for our country going forward. Joining me today, we're down in Miami.
Okay. Again, we're still waiting for reports. And the reports are right now that he's in critical condition from Newsmax and from Fox News. So we're going to continue with that until we hear otherwise. Will Kane has a panel of all kinds of Charlie Kirk's friends and colleagues on. If, again, when something like this happens, it's always, you always got to make sure that you're you always got to make sure that you're doing your darndest to not spread any kind of information that could be not true. Of all the people that have said something, Bo Loudon, like I said, is the one I trust the most, but we don't have any official reports. Scott Jennings, I think there's a couple of other people who are posting stuff, but I don't think they're reputable. MSNBC is still saying stupid stuff. That shouldn't shock anyone. MSNBC, the Trump administration will use this as justification for something, supposedly, is what they said.
Because as we were just talking about a moment ago with Alan, after one of the Doge employees was allegedly attacked in Washington, D.C., that's what Donald Trump used as justification to send in federal troops into Washington, D.C. to get things under control. The carjacking situation, he used that. And I know it's hard to predict the future, Mark, but you can imagine the administration using this as a justification for something.
I must admit, I'm at a loss to guess as to what happens next. But Kirk.
So they're saying now that Donald Trump will use this as justification for something. They don't know what. But the way that the carjacking in D.C., like carjackings are just fine. Like that's what carjackings are no problem. We'll just use, we don't need the police to come into D.C. and fight crime. They're saying Donald Trump used the carjackings in D.C., the high crime in D.C., to bring in the military to fight crime in D.C., which, yes, he did. And if you have another high-profile assassination attempt and it's by somebody who is on the left and who is dead set on taking out Republican voices and conservative voices and putting people's lives in danger or even killing people, then yeah, it's probably time for something to be done, because this is the second high-profile assassination attempt we've seen in the last year. Something better be done. I'm starting to see more and more people say that this guy is not the shooter. Again, of course, all we know is that they have a suspect in custody. We don't know who the suspect is. We don't know what he did. We don't know if there is a second shooter. We don't know anything other than what police have told us. We also know that there's a lot of vile stuff coming out from the left, and there appears to be some misinformation. Chip Roy is now on the steps of Capitol Hill saying we were praying for Charlie Kirk. Donald Trump Jr., Charlie Kirk, is one of the finest men, one of the finest humans I know. Everyone, please lift him and his family up in prayer. Here we go. Sage Steele let's take a listen to Sage Steele.
This morning before this event, I happen to know that Sage is on her honeymoon, and I tell you that because I want you to know how important it was for Sage to join us here today with this news. Sage, your reaction.
I can't find the words, Will. Evil. A couple of weeks ago, after the Minneapolis shooting, that's the same word that came to mind. First and foremost, prayer and heartbreak, and pray and pray and pray. And second, you start to say why. And to me, there is only one explanation, and that is evil. Maybe we eventually learn deeper about that, the why of the shooters. We don't know any details right now. It's not worth speculating. I guess we shouldn't be shocked because of what has happened over just think of the last 13 months. And July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania.
July 13th. I think I said 15th earlier. This is One American News reporting Charlie Kirk shooting suspect not in custody, as Kirk still in critical condition. This was just seconds ago that they reported Charlie Kirk shooting suspect not in custody, Kirk still in critical condition. That's the latest we have from One American News, home of the Matt Gaetz show. Matt Gaetz, another very close friend of Charlie Kirk. Matt Gaetz and his wife, and Charlie and his wife would vacation together. I imagine Matt Gaetz is probably beside himself as well, and I don't know if he's going to be on the air tonight. I imagine he would be. Nick Sorter is reporting, and Nick Sorter, again, who we also saw at TPUSA in August. Nick Sorter is reporting, breaking update, the man who was taken into custody for shooting Charlie Kirk is not the actual shooter per authorities. The suspect is still at large. Police are sweeping the campus and students are being told to lock down. The man originally confessed to the shooting apparently, but he's not the actual shooter. That seems important. Now, I've seen a couple of people say that this guy was, I don't know what, I mean, again, I don't know anything about this. I wasn't there. I'm just reporting what I see and what people have been saying. I'm seeing that some people are saying this guy who was saying, I have the right to remain silent and everything else, was a decoy for the police so that the shooter could get away. This is the guy that, we don't know if they're in cahoots or for whatever, but he admitted to it, or he's the one that started to say, I have the right to remain silent. All of a sudden, the police are off the scent. But now it looks like they realize that's not the guy. So they're still looking for whoever the shooter is. And of course, the folks at Utah Valley University are still under lockdown, and we'll see what happens. Nobody can compare. There is nobody to come close to Charlie Kirk. That is true. This is the guy who lived his life by his ideals, something we all hopefully could do, but it's a shame that we even have to, the fact that we even have to report this, the fact that we even have to do this, and we have to sit here and we have to wait and we have to wonder and we have to pray and we have to think what is happening at that hospital, what's happening with his family. The fact that somebody like this, again, who is just spreading ideas, can't go out to a university in Utah and host an event without massive security and security sweeps and not worrying about violence. I mean, how many events have we been part of? I've been to tons of these events. I've been to so many Donald Trump rallies, dozens of them. I've been to TPUSA events. I've held my own events. I held a much smaller event the other day at, in Jacksonville for my campaign. And these are all things that I'm going to be honest with you. None of us should ever, ever, ever have to worry about. And if you go see a speaker, if you go see somebody, you should never have to worry about that either. You should just be able to go out and speak your mind and hang out with people who are like-minded and debate ideas and not have to worry about getting shot in the neck or any other part of your body, or even hit or even punched or even spit on or any of those other things that happen to Trump supporters and conservatives and Republicans almost every single day. They will find the shooter, says Jeremy. Trump will not allow this to go unsolved. You better believe it. Donald Trump has sent the military into Washington, D.C. to clean up crime and homelessness. He's got the Coast Guard out there shooting up drug boats in the Caribbean. And now we have Donald Trump, I'm sure, investigating what's happening with Charlie Kirk. Newsmax is now reporting on the unconfirmed reports that Charlie Kirk was killed. They've changed their lower third now. Unconfirmed reports, Charlie Kirk killed in shooting. Fox News still going with Charlie Kirk in critical condition after being shot. I almost don't even want to watch CNN. I almost don't even want to see what CNN is saying. But yeah. CNN is just reporting that he's been shot in the neck. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens here in the next few minutes. And like I said, we're just going back and forth between the two to see how the reporting is. We're going to get a confirmed report of something soon. We're going to get a confirmed report that he's stabilized, that he's still alive, or that he's not. And as soon as we do, we'll stick around at least until that moment. We'll stick around at least until then, and then we will probably wrap this up and go pray and see what we can do. But let's see what's happening right now. And we'll go back to Newsmax. They're still sharing the unconfirmed reports that he was killed in the shooting. Let's go back to X, because again, X is always, for the good and the bad of it, it's always the best place to get breaking news. JD Vance, 14 minutes ago, William Wolf wrote, "This gets even worse when you consider that Charlie Kirk, more than anyone else in America on the right or left, built his platform making a good faith effort to model civil, political, and debate in the public square. His entire project was built on reaching across the divide and using speech, not violence, to address and resolve the issues." J.D. Vance replied to that, "This is such a good point. If you actually watch Charlie's events, as opposed to the fake summaries, they are one of the few places with open and honest dialogue between left and right. He would answer any question and talk to everyone. And he did it respectfully. And he did it in a way that did not belittle or bemoan." Oh, no. Well, we have confirmation now. Donald Trump has just tweeted on Truth Social, "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you." That is from Rapid Response. That is from Rapid Response 47. Confirmed by the President of the United States that Charlie Kirk has died. He has succumbed to the injury. He was assassinated. The bullet that ripped through his neck in Utah took his life. Charlie Kirk, confirmed by the President of the United States, has been killed. That is the worst possible news we could have gotten. That is not what any of us wanted, of course. It is shocking, and it's the worst case scenario again for something like this. But it is very sad that this is the kind of thing that happens. Charlie Kirk was somebody. Yeah, we now have the breaking news coming on all of the networks. Charlie Kirk, Trump confirms Charlie Kirk killed in shooting. Fox News is still behind on it, but there's no better source than Donald Trump in this moment for this horrible tragedy. "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you." The President of the United States, this is something that is being echoed right now by millions of people. There were millions and millions of people who loved Charlie Kirk and still do. There are people who will never get over this. And this unfortunate incident is going to be one of the most transformative political events in our history. The violence on the left, the violence that we see from these anti-conservatives in the media and in our world has now led to the death of somebody very important to very many people. A father, a husband, a reporter, a businessman, a radio host, somebody who loved their country more than anyone else, somebody who loved politics more than anyone else, somebody who loved God and their church, somebody who loved to pray, somebody who was unlike anybody we've ever seen and was targeted by the left because of all the good that he did. And that is pure evil. And when you have somebody who does good every single day for a living, when you have somebody who wakes up every single day and says, how can I help? How can I help people? How can I help my country? How can I help my church? How can I help the cause? How can I make everybody feel better? When you have somebody like that, and they are taken in this violent manner, when you have somebody who speaks out against violence, I mean, it is truly shocking to see what is going on in our country. And this is something, again, that is going to be one of those moments that everybody who loved Charlie Kirk, was part of TPUSA, ever saw him speak, anybody who was the kind of person that was politically motivated or touched by him or moved to change. I mean, when we went to TPUSA in August, one of the things that we saw were people coming up to our booth, people coming up and talking to us, and everyone, so many people would say, I used to be a Democrat until I came to TPUSA. I used to be a Democrat until Charlie Kirk. I was lost until Charlie Kirk told me the way. I didn't vote for Donald Trump the first time, but then I found Charlie Kirk and I listened to Charlie Kirk. And this is a terrible moment. This is not a firebrand. This is not a guy who was angry at the left. This is not a guy who was angry with anybody. This was a guy who truly was working to help the world, to help the United States of America. This was a guy who was working to help save this country. And now he's been killed at age 31. When you think about what he was able to accomplish in such a short period of time, this is a guy who not only was able to create a massive movement, a movement of young people, of political voters, of Christians. This was a guy who was able to, I mean, there's no words what he was able to do. The fact that he had the president of the United States ear at such a young age, at age 31, Charlie Kirk could pick up the phone and talk to the president.
As was Charlie, and I know that gives her some peace, but we lost an American icon today.
I agree, Greg. As a man you knew for 7 years and worked for him, I'm sorry for your loss, Greg. Thank you for being with us here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
As I just mentioned, Charlie Kirk has died at a hospital in Utah. At the risk of sounding repetitive, Charlie Kirk was an incredible man. Charlie Kirk was a good friend, not just to me, for anyone who holds a microphone and anyone involved in politics, anyone he came into contact with. You'll hear it repeated on numerous occasions that Charlie Kirk was my friend. And that doesn't make either any one of us unique. It makes Charlie Kirk unique because every single one of us would get a text, would get a direct message, would get a call from Charlie, encouraging us, congratulating us, complimenting a conversation or a segment. In a business that is full of ego, in a business that is full of competition, Charlie Kirk was a true friend. Charlie Kirk was also a major, influential presence in the United States of America, who's already been described by the President of the United States as legendary. No one has marshaled the youth in this country in my lifetime in the way of Charlie Kirk. Whether or not it's my children, who I will talk to tonight when I go home, 2 young boys, teenagers, who know Charlie Kirk, who listen to Charlie Kirk, or the kids that I meet on college campuses before big noon kickoff on Fox Sports at Ohio State, who want to ask me about Charlie Kirk. In the thousands and tens of thousands across this country, from college campus to college campus, Charlie Kirk has been a major influence on the young people of this country. But his influence didn't stop on college campuses. Charlie Kirk's influence extended to the heights of power in the United States of America. A personal friend, I know, to the Secretary of War, to the Secretary of State, to the Vice President of the United States, to the President of the United States. Charlie Kirk's influence literally knew no bounds, and he changed America for the better. For those that hate and those that disagree and that can find no other way to respond but with violence. You did nothing today but to point out the important influence and the great man that was Charlie Kirk. Let's bring in Fox News senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich with reactions.
So what Will Cain said is exactly right. As somebody who speaks into a microphone, as somebody who covers politics, as somebody who uses their opinions every single day to try to change the face of the United States of America, it is troubling to see a political discourse end this way. And when you have somebody who has no other answer to conservatism, has no other answer to the other side, when you have a party that is just so diluted with hatred and devoid of ideas, this is what happens. There was no debating Charlie Kirk for some people. They weren't able to do it. They couldn't couldn't justify what he was saying. They couldn't justify the truth. And so they decided it was better that they resort to violence. That was the only thing they had left to do. Again, what we know is that Charlie Kirk, 31 years old, has died, and he was shot once in the neck at Utah Valley University. It was a targeted shot. It was a faraway shot. It was a single shot. And for somebody to be able to pull that off, it shows somebody who was skilled. The shooter, we believe, may still be at large. All we know is that Charlie Kirk is no longer with us. He will have as much of an impact now, if not more so, than he ever has before. Martyring Charlie Kirk is the last thing that anyone who stood against him wanted. This movement of, and not even just TPUSA, it extends beyond that. What he was able to do on college campuses extended beyond that. People would come from all over, of all ages, of all races, of all creeds. They would come from all over, not just to hear him, but to see the grouping of individuals that he was able to put together. Not just to hear Charlie Kirk speak, but to hear the minds and the opinions that he was able to assemble in one place at one time, simply because they loved and respected him so much. Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Donald Trump Jr., J.D. Vance, Ron DeSantis. At a time when Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump were at odds with each other, Charlie Kirk was able to get them on the same stage. Truly a miraculous voice. Anybody who does this for a living was awestruck by the power that Charlie Kirk had and the influence that Charlie Kirk was able to wield. And the White House, Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, I imagine they'll be. Brylan Hollyhand is about to speak. We'll listen to
Charlie and his
family.
family.
We'll listen to Brylan. He's also part of the TPUSA family as well.
I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, thank you for having me. Extremely heartbroken, extremely shaken up. Charlie Kirk was one of my closest friends in this business, in a business where we don't have a lot of friends. That seems so lonely at times. Charlie Kirk was my mentor. I've talked to him just in the last 2 days. He was so excited about going to Utah, so excited to get back on college campuses. Charlie Kirk was a walking, talking beacon of hope, Will. I know you know that. And I want to be really clear to your audience that the only reason that Donald Trump is sitting in the Oval Office this afternoon is because of Charlie Kirk and because of Charlie Kirk's tireless work ethic. Charlie and I first met in the 4th grade when I started my podcast, and not a lot of people wanted to go on a 4th grader's podcast, but Charlie took a chance on me when he didn't have to. And I want to tell you my favorite Charlie story that just kind of brought a smile to my face a moment ago as I was thinking of it again. I asked Charlie after the interview, I said, Charlie, you're such a huge figure. What advice do you have for an 11-year-old like me? And he said, Brylan, the left may have all the money in the world, but they can never outwork me. I will wake up as early as I need to. I will stay up as late as I need to, and I will never stop fighting for this country. And that was so many years ago. And we'll spend this week remembering Charlie and remembering his legacy. And a lot of people have a lot of things to say about the impact that Charlie had on this nation and on the youth movement and getting Gen Z off the sidelines. But I just want your audience right now to remember Charlie as a family man, as a man who, even during the election cycles, all of us were crisscrossing the nation, still took the time to take a Sabbath, still took the time to turn his phone off on Sundays, to go to church with his kid, to go to church with his wife. And those are the people I'm thinking of right now. His amazing wife, Erica, his 2 young children. Well, what do you say to them now? Do you say that dad went to speak on a college campus, a place of free expression, and he never came home? And you know this. I've been with Charlie at dozens of these speeches. He goes and he opens a microphone, and the first thing that he says to his audience is, if you disagree with me, come to the front of the line. Please have a conversation. This person that clearly disagreed with him could have saved all this by talking. Well, if anything, I hope that this pisses us off so much that we start talking again, because I'm outraged that we are living in a nation where civil discourse is bygone. And if anything, Charlie would want us to have conversations, because that's what he lived his life doing.
Wonderful sentiments, Brylan. It really is. And
well said.
You're absolutely right.
Well said.
The thing to remember in this moment is exactly how I think Charlie would want to be remembered, and that is as a family man. And our thoughts and our prayers are with Erica and his 2 children. And he was a man of God, Charlie. He was a believer. And as a previous guest said, that should give us some solace of hope and some peace about where Charlie is today. His destination was always known. He knew it. And that's now where Charlie is. It's also an incredible story that you share with us really quickly, Brylan, about 4th grade, a podcast. That's incredible. and Charlie Kirk appears on your podcast. Tell me about the role he played for you as a mentor.
Yeah, again, it's somebody that didn't have to do that. He was on Fox News every other hour that year. He didn't have to make time for me as an 11-year-old with this upcoming podcast in the 4th grade to come on and join me, but he did. And not only was it a one-time thing, I've interviewed hundreds of people that I've never talked to again. He stayed a mentor, and he texted me up until this week when I was on another Fox show congratulating me. Like, he didn't have to do that. He could have viewed me as competition. He could have said, oh, I'm not going to give this kid time, but he did. And what I think the larger theme here is the left loves to preach tolerance. They love to preach tolerance. And in situations like this, that's the last thing we're seeing. The media coverage on the other side of the aisle is not like this. I was just scrolling through channels. And obviously the person that took this live, this is heartbreaking, Will. And I really hope, if anything, that people get off the sidelines. This weekend, I'm going to a youth rally in South Carolina. And you better believe that I've already had my team shoot me text saying, Brian, you really need to caution this. You really need to think about not standing in the middle of a park and speak to the next generation. But I am more energized than ever to carry on this torch, to carry on this legacy, because that's what Charlie would have wanted. He would have wanted us to continue to fight the good fight, just like he did.
No doubt, Brylan. No doubt. Thank you so much. Our thoughts and sentiments are with you as well today. Thank you, Brylan.
That was really good. I got to write to him. Brylan Hollihan, by the way, we know is a very young influencer. We've met him a couple of times at TPUSA events, and we have had him on the show as well. There's so many people that got their start with Charlie Kirk. There's so many people who are influencers now who do what Brylan Hollihan. The guy wrote a book, for example. He's got a podcast, and it's all because of the influence of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk didn't shoo him away or say, no, I'm too important for you. Charlie Kirk said, sure, I'll come on your podcast. And Charlie Kirk invited him to events, and he was in the influencer tent, and he helped whoever wanted help. He was somebody who inspired not just the next generation of political conservatives, but also, as you can see there, the next generation of political talk hosts, the political influencers, people who would use their voice to continue to proselytize the word of God and proselytize the word of our founding fathers, which go hand in hand. It is a very sad day. Tomorrow is September 11th. So now we have September 10th, which is a day that will live in infamy. And we have September 11th tomorrow, another day that will live in infamy. There is a lot of sadness caused by people who hate us. There's a lot of sadness caused by people who don't like the way we think, or don't like the things we say, or don't like that we just want peace and freedom and liberty for everybody. There are a lot of people 24 years ago, 18 of them flew planes into our buildings because they didn't like the way that we thought or the God we believed in. And today, for whatever reason, Charlie Kirk was killed for similar motives. We're not exactly sure who the shooter is or if the shooter is even in custody. We're not really sure what the motivation was. We're not really sure why they went to Utah Valley University, why they hid in that building, why they took a shot at Charlie Kirk and ended his life. We're not really sure what they were thinking. What was the thinking behind this? What was it about Charlie Kirk that they hated so much that they couldn't just disagree with him? They had to kill him. It was a political assassination. It was the same thing. It's the same thing that has happened to presidents. It's the same thing they attempted to do to our president last year. And unfortunately, Turning Point USA founder, talk show host, political activist Charlie Kirk passed away, killed in an assassination this afternoon in Utah. 1993 to 2025. 1993, I was starting college. And look at all Charlie Kirk's been able to do since then. It is going to be a very, very sad few days for a lot of people. And and I know that on college campuses, college just started. I mean, this is the thing. I just dropped my son off at college. And college campuses, you believe, are safe places. College campuses are places where you believe that you can have these discussions. I mean, I had some of the most heated debates I've ever had in college, and I do this for a living. College is the place where you're supposed to be open to discuss stuff, not where you're going to get gunned down for your opinion.
Better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you. You will have everyone on the Five's reaction in just a moment, but let's get you caught up on the news. with the latest. Jonathan Hunt joins us now. Hi, Jonathan.
All right, this news
Hi, Dana.
is gonna,
A tragic scene unfolding.
This news is going to continue, and tomorrow there will be, like I said, a lot of sadness. Donald Trump is headed to New York City for the Yankee game to commemorate 9/11. He's headed to the Pentagon to commemorate 9/11. There's going to be now news of Charlie Kirk as well. Hopefully they'll catch the shooter. Hopefully we'll know more. Hopefully everyone in Utah Valley University will be safe, and hopefully his wife and his children will have the support that they need now, as will the rest of us, because this is a very, very, very sad day. I'm going to go talk to my children. I'm going to go talk to my wife. Thank you all for watching with me. I'll never forget now where I was when we got the news of Charlie Kirk's death. I was doing what I loved to do, which is exactly what Charlie Kirk was doing when he came to the end of his life today. I will be back tomorrow. We'll have a couple of podcasts. Thank you so much. Thank you for following. Make sure that you're following tomorrow, because we will be bringing you a lot of news. And I love you all for being here with me. And I love that we get to do all this, and we're not going to stop.